We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to a episode of a show that we haven't had in quite some time. This is Pod Mavericks Presents Group Therapy. As those of you who are here in the stream should know, there's a pinned comment in the YouTube Slack to which I want you to click on that link and come join me and get your particular takes off. If you have thoughts about this game, if you have thoughts about the season as a whole, if you have thoughts about the season yet to come, I would like you to join and talk a little ball with me. If there's not much to be said tonight, as can happen during losses, then we won't have this show for very long. But I wanted to, give folks the opportunity to come talk a little basketball, though it is, oddly early. It's about 7:45 here on March 25th. For those listening on the audio stream a little bit later, possibly on Monday, Josh Bowe and I just finished our first show. This is our second show in which we do get folks that want to talk a little hoop. Coming up first, we have Sam. Everybody else that is interested in talking, go ahead and click on that link again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will share it again. Just let me know. All right, Sam, what are you thinking tonight, man?
Oh, they weren't going to go undefeated the rest of the season. So,
as a pity. Would have been nice, though.
Would have been cool, but, it was going to happen sooner or later. I just think, obviously, I think y'all were talking about it. Just the disappointing part was you get it down to 4 in the fourth quarter, and then you have a THJ disaster class. You have a kid disaster class. And then it just kind of goes to shit. And then before you know it, it's like you're down by 12 again, and then it's pretty much over after that.
So let me ask you something. There were a lot of comments in the channel that were like, you need to talk about Kid. I didn't know what to say about Kid other than I'm like, all right, can we play Jaden Hardy a little bit more and Tim Hardaway a little bit less? Was there anything else that you were like, this is just disastrous?
Besides that, not necessarily. It's just, I think it's the fact that this was my opinion ever since the trade. I think everybody was like, okay, you got Luka, you got Kyrie. This is great. You actually got some big wings. You got, you got another backup center, but it's going to come down at the end to Kid. And like you said, the Phoenix game, I thought he was pretty good for the most part. He made adjustments. He actually took guys out when you needed to take them out. But he has those stretches to where, like THJ, man, if he's not hitting, take him out.
It's the Bertans rule. Like he hit his first shot and then he just missed his next 5. I don't know. Tim is somebody I can't talk about reasonably because I like Tim, despite how much he frustrates me.
it's one of those things to where like, in a way you need him because he'll take shots that a lot of other guys on the team won't take. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's both.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, you need him, but at the same token, like he can shoot you into games. Well, he had that 40-point game against New Orleans a couple games back, but then he'll have games like tonight where he's just not hitting nothing and he's turning the ball over like it's crazy turnover. It's not even like, oh, he's Kyrie handling the ball and he just loses it. He's just throwing the ball away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The one that really chapped my there are two. The first that led to the backcourt turnover where it's like he just missed Luka on a pass. But then the pass that was like a solid 4 feet behind Daniel Gafford, it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah, that's great. That wasn't great.
Guys, nobody else on the team gets that kind of rope. Like Josh Green makes a mistake like that, and Kid'll hang him by his toes somewhere. It's like, what's going on? I don't know.
Thing as well, I don't know what it is about Kid that it's like, okay, you got Luka on the team, you got Kyrie, let him bring the ball up. Why is Derrick Jones Jr. bringing the ball up some possessions?
So there are reasons. Like I think that's honestly somebody in the chat pointed out earlier, like the fact that Luka has the ball the most per possession per game. It's an effort to get the ball out of his hands to reduce the wear and tear on him. But it also sometimes there's just like, what is this guy can't dribble? Why? Why is that happening?
Right. Like I mean, if it's Josh Green, I could trust Josh Green with the ball. I could, for the most part. Even Jaden Hardy, I won't say he's the best ball. I mean, he's not a point guard.
He could dribble from the backcourt to the front court.
Exactly. So I could trust him with the ball. Yeah. But PhD, bro, your job is to shoot the ball, get open, shoot the ball. I saw somebody say like he thinks he's Jason Terry, and it's really like he's not. Because at least Jason Terry, for the most part, could handle the ball. He had his turnovers too, but he was a point guard pretty much.
Jason Terry was a point guard in Atlanta for several years until the Mavericks made him like a perma 6-man.
Yeah. So like at least he could do it. Tim, and like I said, Tim has his moments, but for the most part, he's a shooter. So you let him shoot. So like I don't want to get too mad because it's not like Indiana's a bad team. They're obviously a great team.
No, they're so fast and they strain your defense in a way that, and there's a good question from Eric in the chat, which I think I'll address later about Boston. Like there's very few teams that strain your defense the way Indiana does.
Yeah. And I'll say one more thing before I get off. Like PJ Washington, for as bad as he's been offensively, I still can't knock the man for his defense. I mean, he held Siakam to like 12, 13 points. So
I guess that's true.
It wasn't like his offense, he has to pick it up at some point though. He can't like, I'm not saying just don't be ass, but like at least be like semi-ass, like just make some shots because right now it's not looking great, and it's just we're gonna need him obviously in the playoffs because I still think we'll get a 6. We'll be the 6th seed at some point just with the way Sacramento's playing. I mean, even though Phoenix won today, they could have easily lost that game against the Lakers, and I just think with Luke and Kyrie, if they can keep playing the way they're playing, I mean,
can you see the stream right now?
I can see it. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna share something. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this clip together. It's from a man on Twitter, Glenn, who you may follow. Very funny, and this is just an excellent way to. I'll describe the clip after I show, but it's a classic 6-second Vine. We're gonna watch this thing together. He says, "This is Tim. Mavericks go on a run. Tim Hardaway comes in and boom."
Oh gosh.
It's a guy doing the box. What was it? The milk crate challenge where it's like you stand on top of the box. I watched this like 7 times in a row. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to share this with the stream. It's a guy getting to the very top and then somebody coming in and doing like a Ryu kick from out of Street Fighter. And the guy just goes crashing to the ground. Yeah. Anyway, that's great podcasting. All right. All right. So first I'm going to punch you, but thank you so much for hanging out tonight, man.
Hey, you have a good night, Kirk.
All right. So my man Logan, who used to be a Mavs Moneyball contributor before he fell off the face of the fucking planet, is in the comments, and he wants to know, how does he come on this? Logan, that's a great question. In the YouTube, there is a pinned comment with a link, and it's a link to StreamYard. Click on that link. That's how you get in on this. All right, we got 4 people in waiting. Well, Logan's one of the people in waiting now. That's amazing. We got my man Simon, my man Henry, Brandon, and then Logan. Everybody's really this is why I love these. We get much fewer viewers, but like much more spicier takes. So Simon, my East Coast friend, what's going on?
Oh, there we go. Hey, can you hear me, Kirk?
I can. What's going on?
Hold on. I'm having some problems with my fucking headphones. I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's okay. This is the way technology is. I mean, you can talk to me over the internet, but you might not be able to hear me. That's just perfect. All right, here's what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to remove you for now, and I'm going to go to my friend Henry, and we'll figure this out here in a little bit. But you can stay up here, and I'll call you again in a minute. Henry!
Oh, my God. This game gave me I have an ibuprofen addiction after this game. My God, I might have to go get like a liver transplant or some shit. This game was absolutely frustrating.
They just couldn't get it back. And I expected them to at some point because, like, when you go – I made a sassy-ass comment where I was like, it'd be nice if Kyrie could hit a shot, and then he just boom, 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 and then they're in it, and then they died. And it was that quick. And I normally are really fired up over losses, but this just felt like a Rick Carlisle special where he put the Mavericks, not Jason Kidd, like the Mavericks in a blender and was like, fuck you guys.
I instantly knew. I think there's like an ongoing conspiracy where Rick Carlisle knew Jamal Mosley should have been the coach, so he recommended Kidd because he knew Kidd was ass, and then that would be one more just fuck you to the organization right before he left.
It's like, do you ever like? Did you ever like make a recommendation to your friend where it's like, you know what, you should go out with that chick, but you're fucking around and they take you seriously? And that's what this feels like with
you're moving to Dallas, an amazing area with great school districts. Oak Cliff. You'll love Oak Cliff. It's perfect.
I do love Oak Cliff. Best food in the city.
You know what I mean? Like it's just another one. And again, I just hopped on because I just got off work not too long ago. But why, in what world can please someone tell me why THG's lease is this long? Like Hardy gets this much, and he's better in every aspect, and he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, I was obviously upset that PJ and Tim Hardaway were bringing the ball up the court, but I get it. Luka and Kyrie getting blitzed. Like, 2 people had their backs to them out of bounds, just making sure that they could not get the ball. Rick Carlisle special. I totally understand it. But there was no reason to why Hardy shouldn't be getting Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes. I don't get it. I don't understand. Every single time we got close, Kyrie rattles off, 9 straight, 10 straight in the fourth quarter. We're within the 4. Tim Hardaway. I know you.
I mean, at least like the fourth was less frustrating for me because all of a sudden the Pacers started like bombarding from beyond the arc. But what it did is it made all those prior mistakes really painful. Mm-hmm. That's what I hated about that because there's so many live ball turnovers, so many missed. Like there were missed, like when Luka missed all the free throws that he hit that he had earlier. I'm just sitting there going, man, these guys are going to regret this. Now, I don't want to say at least they got blown out by 20. Because that always sucks. But on the flip side is like that game felt over with like 7 minutes to go. And I was like, okay, I'm going to.
I know when the Mavericks are going to lose because anytime there's a pivotal point, we do something stupid. And it happened repeatedly throughout the game. Okay, here's some momentum. Nah, fuck it up. Here's some momentum. Nah, fuck it up. Like Tim Hardaway, 4 turnovers, 3 of 6, 4 of 12. Who else? PJ.
The PJ turnovers might have been worse, if only because I sort of expect Tim disasters. Like it's like, but he, the Tim giveth and Tim taketh away. But the PJ ones do you remember the one where he dribbled off his back of his foot? Yeah. I'm like you can't do that, dude. And then
that's Jaylen Brown levels of dribbling. And I don't think I've seen someone dribble as horrible as Jaylen Brown. Like, he literally dribbles like a 12-year-old in AAU practice. Like, I have no idea what was going on with that. Still love PJ. You haven't even been here 2-3 weeks, so I'm not going to hold this one against you.
No, he's
been here for 5 years. I still don't understand what he does. Doesn't play defense. When his shot's not falling, he can't pass, he can't rebound. He's worse than Ben Simmons at this point. He's a literal traffic cone. And Kid just has this undying faith in him that for someone – You went to the Western Conference Finals when THG was in street clothes, when he's off the court, not taking shots away from. There's a direct correlation. THG off the court, winning basketball, and I feel like this is, again, I think you mentioned this earlier. It's been masked by the 6-7 game winning streak. How horrible Tim Hardaway has been. When you're winning, everything is okay, but he's just. I don't know. I wanted to include Tim Hardaway at the trade deadline to see if we can somehow bring Dodo back. Hopefully, we can bring Dodo back during the summertime, but he needs to be buried behind Dwight Powell. You know, like, I really just don't get it. Garbage minutes. Like what is the one reasonable argument to continue to play Tim Hardaway right now? Over, this is obviously, I'm gonna pick Hardy for right now, but what is the one reasonably good thing that he does that you can still point to a positive?
To get this many minutes, I don't know. I mean, I've espoused the theory and will continue to do so, to where I think you put him on like a 3 to 4 shot diet, where if he connects in a reasonable way, particularly on the threes, the 2-pointers, he's been a bad, like, you go check out his Basketball Reference, his 2-point shot percentage is remarkably garbo. And
they're all step backs. They're all hard twos. Like, why?
Right in front of the 3-point line, where he looks like Kyrie ran through a fax machine, because he tries to do the same shit, and it's just it doesn't work because he doesn't have the same kind of balance.
On a positive note, though, the Pelicans are down 5 with 4 minutes left to the Bulls, so hopefully they lose. We jump back up to the 6th seed versus the 8th seed.
That's what I'm talking. Is that where we are right now? 8th seed.
We dropped down from the 6th to the 8th seed in one night.
Oh God, it's like that sometimes out west. My goodness,
he got out coached. Like, I said that during the comment when I donated. How much can we improve the roster? No, you're more than welcome. I'm gonna do it as much as I can, and hopefully in the upcoming business venture, I can do it a hell of a lot more. But I don't understand how much more we can improve the roster if we continue to get out coached. Obviously, I've been one of the main people saying fire Kid. I wanted him a restraining order from the DFW area months ago. And again, Luka loves him, Kyrie loves him, so he's not going anywhere. I totally get it. But I am going to continue pushing that agenda as long as I got breath in my lungs. So, like, I don't get it. You got thoroughly out-coached. D-Lob, I didn't expect you to guard Miles Turner at that point. I think we probably should have ran Maxey at the 5. That way we can switch, and he would have probably played Miles Turner just a little bit better. But
Maxey was getting baked, though. Did you he has good defensive games tonight. Like, he just had guys making tough shots over him. It was really tough. This felt like a game that had been kind of coming to a degree, to where I think, like, the Suns game was obviously a great win, but I really think the Mavericks could have lost that game too, just as easily as they won it, with some kind of just the ball bouncing a different way a few times. And this was one that felt like the Mavs had been putting off, because, again, Tim's been bad. Luka and Kyrie were the only good offensive players for 2 straight games. That's hard to win games in a row when that's the only good offensive players only offense you're getting out of guys.
But we still have to find a way to. I don't know why Kid didn't take the exact formula that he used versus the Thunder when we blew the doors off of them, with the multiple backdoor cuts when PJ set the screen, then Tim set the screen, that then led to his alley-oop. Like, I don't understand why we don't get PJ rolling towards the rim more. He's clearly more comfortable there until his shot starts falling.
He did. He had a real nice floater to start the game, and they just never did it again.
That's what I'm saying. Like, until his 3.5 shot starts falling, we can't have him sitting in the corner and being a bigger Grant Williams. Like, I don't understand. Like, we can't be watching the same game.
I like PJ going downhill. The corners, even when he's attacking from the corners, it feels a little bit more trepidatious. But the downhill attack, we had a comment in the first show where someone's like, I don't really like PJ's ball handling. And I like PJ's ball handling, but I think there's something about the angle from the corner versus, the optionality, because he had a real nice pass to Lively for a layup when he was attacking. I just want to give the guy some short roll situations where he's doing stuff, because, and again, guys, like that baseline is an additional defender. When you're in the middle of the floor, you can do a lot more damage if you have the vision, the length, and the skills. And that kind of is what I think of PJ.
He definitely can. Rick Carlisle's a masterclass. They have in almost every offensive category: field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, transition bucket. It doesn't matter. The Pacers are leading it. Can you imagine Rick Carlisle with Luka and Kyrie? Like, that would be absolutely absurd. But we're going to continue to get our coach. Will Hardy in Utah, amazing coach. Rick Carlisle, amazing coach. Eric Spoelstra, amazing coach. Coach Bud, thank you. Is what I've been saying. Like, I know it's not going to happen. Coach Bud is the head coach. Dan Tony is your offensive coordinator. I don't know who you put for the defensive coordinator, but That's kind of like where I would start, and you would see a total team. I don't know how high the ceiling is with this current roster. I was personally thinking Western Conference Finals,
It was
but
very matchup based, though.
I really feel like there's a ceiling on this team until Kid either changes his philosophy or we have a new coach. Like, I really think it's, again, you've been in organizations, you've played sports before. Leadership starts at the top and trickles down. If the top brass up here is ass, everything else is going to be hot dog water. Like, it's going to be dumpster juice. Like, you just can't do anything with it. So I just really don't know how far we go to until we get better leadership.
Oh, I love it. Well, thanks so much for joining once again, my man.
See you, man.
All right. We're going to bring Simon back on up. Simon, welcome back to the show. Hopefully now the Wi-Fi is going to work for you. What's up?
I think it wasn't the Wi-Fi. It was my damn headphones. I don't know what was going on.
That happens.
Yeah. Anyway, so I watched the game. I was on delay, so I was like kind of fast forwarding through a lot of it. I'm trying to think what my main takeaways were. I guess we can start with Tim Hardaway. I've been on here, and I'm not a big fan of the guy. I do kind of recognize that he's an important part of the team, as you've said many times, because he takes a lot of shots that most other players aren't willing to take, and he also
the grenades, because they don't want to hurt the
grenades.
shooting percentage.
That's exactly what I was leading into. When I watch him, it seems like every time the ball touches his hands in the front court, he just seems like he's in such a hurry to shoot, as if it's like he's never going to get the ball back if he passes it.
That drives me crazy, because you're right. It looks like he makes the decision to shoot well before he shoots it. Like, there's a stat, and I need to go look at it, but there's a stat somewhere where it's like guy shooting percentage based on number of dribbles. I bet Tim's shooting percentage after he dribbles more than twice is terrible.
Yeah. It's terrible, but like he doesn't even, even if like you make the decision to shoot, it's like what a high IQ player will do is like, okay, I'll throw it to the high post guy and cut off of him to maybe give myself a little separation. He doesn't even do things like that. But then on the flip side, it's like, okay, well, we want Tim to pass the ball more, but but when he there was the one play he tried to make like a left-handed bounce pass off the dribble, just like the ball just like trickled across the lane, and then the Pacers.
That was the one that was so far behind. It looked like a glitch in the Matrix, because it's like the guy had been there. That sort of stuff happens in youth basketball that I coach, where it's like, well, I passed him the ball. It's like, he's not there anymore. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's what Tim did.
Yeah. What happened to Did Lively play in the second half? Did he get injured?
This is a fun question. I think Lively is getting a little bit of, I don't want to say rookie wall, but I think that he's getting put in positions where he's getting shown that, like, just sort of the rawness of him. Like, he gave up some rough open looks to
Turner.
Yes, and that sort of hurt him. I think he's good. I think he's capable of defending in space. I asked this after the Suns game, like, why isn't he out there? He's athletic, he can move. He's not comfortable defending in space.
Did he play in the second half though?
He did, but not to start the second half. He didn't play much down the stretch. I just looked at the box score, and it said he played 14 minutes. Yep, pretty rough.
I mean that seems a little low, because it's not like Gafford put up much. He didn't really put up much resistance to Turner either.
Yep.
So I don't know what the deal was there. I tend to agree with you on Jason Kidd. I as a coach, he just doesn't impress me. I don't think the game today in particular is on him. Luka had it going in the first half. That kept him in it. Kyrie got it going in the fourth quarter to bring him close. But like you alluded
somebody
to
else
earlier,
has got to make a shot more than this is Kidd.
Offensively, like other than that, like what did they really have going? And then the PJ part of it is like, it seems like he's picked up Josh Green's habit of where he, like what Josh Green does, and Josh Green had an okay game. He was 6 for 8 or something like that.
Yeah, he had a good game.
But Josh, a lot of times when he drives, he just doesn't have a plan. He doesn't, he's not like, okay, I'm going to drive. I'm driving to score, and then if they If they cut me off, then I have this outlet or whatever. He just goes and doesn't really know what he's doing. And I saw a little bit of that from PJ today, where he drives, doesn't have a plan, doesn't know what he's gonna do. I thought it was a winnable game. I don't know if that what they didn't have, or they were within 4 in the fourth quarter. But the kid, who's the kid? The kid, I don't know his name. Ended up going 5 of 5 from 3.
That's an NBA creative player. I watch a lot of basketball. That was not a real person before tonight. You cannot convince me otherwise. And I have this kind of ridiculous service that I had access to the in-game feeds, like the stuff that would go on during commercials.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There were Pacers fans who didn't know who that guy was because they had a couple of contests. It was
Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
Shepard, I think was his name. Turner,
Ben Shepard, something like that, right?
Isn't Turner? Yeah, isn't Turner from? Isn't he from?
He is. He went to Josh Bose High School. He went to.
No shit.
Yeah. He's he went to University of Texas too. So
and I know he's been in. He's
Mavericks fans have coveted him for quite some.
He's
time.
been in trade rumors forever.
Yeah, and his knees are made out of paper mache at this point. So
didn't he have an injury or something like before his draft that
he's one of these guys.
Stock.
I think he's one of the many players who I think who suffers from injuries that are not a result of like an actual injury, but just like over basketballing. I think would be the only way I could think to describe
becoming
it.
increasingly common with how much these guys play at the youth level and all that. All right, what else? Thinking. Kyrie, I think before his fourth quarter, he just missed a bunch of shots that he usually makes.
Right.
That happens,
TJ McConnell kind of got in his business a little bit, and I don't, over like a 7-game series.
He did, but I don't think he really bothered him.
Shots just didn't go.
I think,
because he got to the line. That was pretty neat. He never gets the free throw line.
He did get to the line. A lot of that was that, I think in the second quarter in particular, the Pacers were in the bonus pretty early, or like Dallas was. The Pacers fouled them to put them in the bonus is what I was trying to say. And that got him to the line. I think what a game like today really represents is how much of a key piece Dante Exum is to this team, right? Because I think a previous guy who was on alluded to the fact that, Kid is trying to have somebody else other than Luka and Kyrie bring the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
And Exum he is that guy. He is the guy that can transport the ball from point A to point B and organize an offense and get Luka and Kyrie in positions where, they're catching it with a live dribble versus having to bring the ball up. And then that makes it a lot easier. When they are dribbling, it makes it a lot easier for other teams to blitz them versus when they catch it with a live dribble.
Yeah.
So I think Exum is the connector of this team. And when he gets back, he's going to make things easier on Luka and Kyrie, and he's going to kind of shoehorn Tim and Jaden, into roles which are more appropriate.
I think that's true. Everybody's kind of wigging out about him because he has knee bursitis, which if you look up what that is, the range of outcomes are like 3 days to like 6 weeks.
Bursitis. So what is he? Does he just have like an excess of fluid buildup in his knee or something?
They're not getting specific enough about it, but like that's why I say like when it's all over the map as I understand it, to where it's not particularly painful, but it is uncomfortable
because he did come back for like a
that's
couple.
Right.
He was out for a while. He came back and then then he's out again.
All right. Okay. So we got to shout out are the Chicago Bulls going to win this game? Yes. They're up by 8 points with 11 seconds. They're going to knock down the New Orleans Pelicans.
So that means they move back up to 7.
We're not going to finish tonight in 8th. So we're in a good spot.
Okay.
Simon, I got a bunch of people waiting. I heard my wife.
No, that's fine. That's cool, man.
Through
Appreciate you having me always.
Of course. Thanks for coming. Talk soon, all right?
Yep. See you.
Okay. Before I bring on my next guest in Brandon, we're going to fly through some people. We got 4 people waiting. I just wanted to show you guys my absolutely preposterous shirt that I never wear. Everybody recognizes our Lord and Savior, Deshaun Stevenson, the man whose true shooting percentage during the 2011 NBA Finals. I'm pretty convinced he's why they won that series, because he shot such an absurd distance from three. And if anybody's interested in where I purchased the shirt, I will send you out a link a little bit later. All right, coming up next is Brandon. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing well, Kirk. Nice shirt.
Thank you. That's just I was wearing this shirt in Summer League when I ran into the entire Miami Heat coaching staff at a restaurant.
Oh man.
And I sort of shat myself. I was like, fuck. I'm wearing a really, really disrespectful shirt. Anyway, what's going on tonight? What'd you think of this game?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of it falls back on the players. Kitty definitely got out coached, but I mean, they were making some terrible passes, and Indiana, they did a good job. And I think a lot of it goes back on the players not really adjusting. There was a couple of times when the guys, they just couldn't do anything in the paint, and they just sat there and either turned the ball over or missed. So in the end, it kind of like trapped them, forced them, to play kind of sloppy, and definitely forced the Mavs to make bad passes. So, that was kind of more of an on-court, battle more than a coaching battle. Kitty definitely got out coached. Carlisle, he like he always does, he uses his timeouts well. When the Mavs went up, I believe in the second quarter, he called a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
And, he never let the game get out of control. Kid, he let it get up. It was 102 to 120.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the game was over though. Like when they started hitting threes, I think part of him knew, because you look at the minutes totals for tonight, and Kyrie and Luka basically came out of the game. Now, in games past, he would sort of just keep playing them, but they got a back-to-back on, I want to say Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's probably wise to get them on out of the game.
Jeez, but I was looking at the stats in Indiana. They, outside of 3 points and blocks, they got everything. Second chance points. They didn't dominate, but they still won in every category. And when you do that, that's the implication that you're gonna, you're just gonna have to win the game. But you know what, Kirk? I kind of wonder, with Dallas having two new bigs, Washington and Gafford, they never really ran any sets with any bigs because they never had any guys that could really just score in the paint consistently. I'm not saying that PJ and Gafford can, but I kind of wonder if it's something that's new to them that they haven't really just been, kind of exposed to, and that's something that they're going to have to work on with this short amount of time left in the regular season.
I mean, they'll try different things. I mean, this is kind of the game that they play. Who do they play next? They got the Celtics. I want to say the game after. There are going to be some not like frustrating losses ahead, but the Pacers were just kind of the prime team to make you go, okay.
Right.
Mavericks team has been playing well, but are they as good as we think they are?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked me, it's like, did the Mavericks even get a scouting report? Because they didn't seem to know that Miles Turner can score. And I mean, that's just kind of the relentlessness of the regular season at play.
It is. But, just got to stay optimistic and hopefully, stay out of that play-in.
Sure.
I definitely don't want them guys in the play-in, man.
No.
I wanted to nail it in and take off. And just one more thing, Kirk, about the Luka thing. I made a comment earlier that, Jordan, he didn't win it every year. So it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. I mean, the MVP discussion is a difficult one because I earnestly don't care about it unless I feel super confident about the Mavericks heading towards the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm just not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, man. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you, Kirk.
All right, we'll talk soon. All right, coming up next is my man, Glenn. Can't remember if I've had Glenn on before, but either way. Glenn, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Kirk? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Good to see you. Thank you
Thank
you for joining.
You're welcome.
It has been that off season. Yes, I'm sorry. When I do these every night, I'm like, I recognize names, I recognize faces, but then I'm like, when was it?
Oh, I even if I'm not on here, I'm listening the entire time, man.
Well, thank you so much. So what are you thinking tonight?
Okay, so I didn't get a chance to get on as soon as the game stopped, but
that's okay. Josh and I do a show first, and then we do this one. So you didn't miss much.
But I will say, I kind of like, if there's any silver lining in this, I kind of like the fact that finally, if you pay attention to the national media, they just kind of accidentally stumbled upon, well, are the Mavericks good? What does this mean for the Mavericks? We should be paying more attention to the Mavericks. And I kind of got the Dallas Cowboy kind of fear in me that I don't want too many people telling this team how good they are too quickly.
This is a great take. Keep going.
So I want them to immediately get slapped in the face and get their ass handed to them, because I want them to not believe all the press clippings so quickly. Yeah, this team could be unstoppable. I think this team in a 7-game series could have beat the Pacers 7.
Sure.
We'll see in about 10
Look,
days.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about that though, because they're not the kind of playoff opponent the Mavericks are going to play. We're going to be playing some big old team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the Pacers are kind of a 1-of-1 anomaly. And I don't want to overthink this loss too much. I think that had Luka gotten some shots to go down a little bit differently, he obviously scored 25 in the first half. If Kyrie's able to connect on 4 shots in the first quarter instead of 2, I can't help but think this game had some pivot points that would have gone the other way. And unfortunately, nobody from the Mavericks could hit a shot. Like, that's a rarity for these guys.
Well, but I'm not going to harp on Kidd. I did it in the offseason. He's actually done. The record is what it is. He had some role to play in this, obviously, but there was not a lot of ball movement. There was not. There was.
That was
not
by
a lot
design. Carlisle was really like, we're just going to make. They didn't send doubles. They really mucked up what the Mavericks had been seeing, and you give Kyrie and Luka enough opportunities, they're going to figure out how to beat it. But I really didn't think the Mavericks had any answer offensively for what Indiana was doing defensively, and that was disappointing. That's kind of that's a kid mark, but
that
what are you
is a
gonna
kid
do?
mark. The second kid mark is they were conceding the mid range to Miles Turner, and why was Gafford on all of these switches defending the 3-point shooter in the corner?
Mm-hmm.
That's not where we want Gafford. I saw Luka I don't know how many times I saw Luka underneath the basket trying to defend against Turner. There's several ways that you could go about trying not getting in that situation.
Sure.
I just felt I don't want to say I felt like Kidd was lazy, but I don't feel like he pulled out the game plan that he did against Oklahoma or against the Suns.
Yeah.
The last thing that I'll say is with Timmy, I really think he's in his head with his role, because he's no longer needed to be the person that takes these volume shots.
That's a good take.
And everything changed for the most part when he's no longer the third or fourth best scorer or person on the team. We don't need him to be the third most important person or fourth most important person on the team. So now, instead of saying, Tim, we want you to take, you can take 13 shots a game if you want to. Now that's not what we need from him. And, he's got that.
He's forcing it.
Exactly. And, we will need him at some point, because someone averaging 17 points off the bench that can shoot long-range 3-pointers like this is a value to have. Unfortunately, we have to carve out Timmy time. We don't have to do that with Jaden, right?
That's right.
Unless I'm not going to make this about I don't like Kidd, because I think Kidd's the only one that can coach this team right now, just because of the people that are on.
He also ain't going anywhere. It's why I don't try to go into it too much, because it's like there's 20 games left. What are we gonna do? They're not firing the coach.
No, but they definitely need to tighten up some stuff, and I hope this game is the one that makes everyone realize they still have a lot of work to do.
I think that's right. Glenn, great takes. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, coming up next is a former Mavs Moneyball contributor and maybe future Mavs Moneyball contributor if he wants to be again. Logan, what are you doing, Logan? You're out in the dark somewhere.
How's it going? I am out in the dark. I pulled over to talk to you.
Wow.
I was driving.
That's dedication. What's going
on? Nothing much. I would like to write for you guys again. I know I disappeared off the face of the earth, but I started teaching, though. Teaching,
that does happen.
It kind of destroyed my life for a little bit. I did want to say, I know some people would be like, Coach Bud, what do you mean? Because he's bad in the playoffs. But if you want Luka to win an MVP, We would have 58 wins or something with Coach. I mean, that's just what he does. He's just
Yep.
like a regular season wizard. But I wanted to jump off talking about Exum in relation to THJ
Sure.
because I think it's right that he's forcing it, but I think Kid kind of gives him the leash, and it's kind of like both of those are happening at the same time because
That's right.
they're not really running like plays just to get him shots right now. He's kind of the second side ball handler.
If
Always.
he gets the rebound, that man is like, I'm going to dribble up the floor. I'm going
Right.
to shoot it.
Well, and that's what Exum would kind of fill. He used to let Josh do it a little bit for whatever reason. If Kyrie or Luka are off, Tim is the second side. And once the defense kind of forces Luka or Kyrie over, it's not just that Tim is taking bad shots or that Tim is not playing defense. It's that like half of our possessions are sort of in his hands, which doesn't
Right.
make any sense. Like that's more absurd than anything else about him is that you would kind of make him basically a true ball handler for 12 seconds at a time. And so Exum, pray over his knee. I think they do kind of want they did let Exum be that. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, and that's where, if you think of the third ball handler roles that the Mavericks have had over the past several years, the 2021 playoffs, I know the 3-guard lineup didn't actually work as well as I like to remember it.
Right.
But it did have when 2 of those 3 were on, it gave the Mavericks a variety of different looks. And right now, the kind of looks that they're getting, when you obviously Luka, Kyrie, unbelievable looks. So we're not like criticizing the thought, but if you have a third point guard that's able to do the things that Exum's able to do, it gives you another layer, another wrinkle. At a certain point in the year, if like the Exum stats were like, man, this guy is just carving up defenses, and that was really helpful.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, we are deeper for sure. Like I would say we are a deep team, but some of the lineups that are going out there, THJ kind of has, I don't want to say this because Tim drives me crazy and I'm just as obsessed as everybody else. Like he's always driven me crazy. But when there's a lineup that's Luka, DJJ, Maxey and Gafford and Tim, it's Tim bombs away, or like there's no spacing, there's no like we got a lot of good like scrappers in the front court now and stuff, but until Exum is back, like Kid's kind of putting Tim there because otherwise you're not really running like a valid offensive lineup.
Yep.
And I think Exum would really make all that kind of shake out, but it's just that like that lineup when I saw it, like I've seen you mention that of it's like why is Maxey, Derek Jones, and there's just like no spacing.
Like that's a like that. Honestly, it's like a high school level coaching decision because it's like, you know what, I'm going to play my defenders to stop their offense.
Exactly. You know what he kind of reminds me of, and after this I'll get off. I don't want to take too long, but
no worries, man.
There's always NFL coaches that when Pat Mahomes scores a touchdown, even if you're only down 3 points, you just abandon the run game completely. Jason Kidd is totally. This is what Mac Brown used to do with the Longhorns.
Yeah.
He wasn't running the ball if they were down a field goal, and it makes me want to pull my hair out. I mean, that Kyle Shanahan kind of does stuff like that, and as good as a coach as he is, but Kidd kind of does that. He's like, "Oh, this is up tempo. Time to get Tim in for 35 minutes." And I don't know. It just seems like he kind of pot commits to these different things. I mean, the Miles Turner thing you could kind of say is the same thing because I was like, I guess they're going to let Miles Turner beat him, and I was like, I guess they're just going to keep letting him beat him. But
it's so bad. Getting beat by Miles Turner is so annoying. I don't know how to contextualize that.
And it's baffling because against the Suns, I was like, there's Kid over there doing his screaming thing like he did in the playoffs and double team. It was kind of like the same way they beat the Suns the first time. And he'll randomly just kind of, he's a confusing bad coach. I don't think he's just like it's never as simple as just being like he's the worst. It's like he'll pull you in for a second and then you're like, no, this is the same.
Well, but then but this is the other problem, and this is a specific Kid criticism that will go over a lot of people's heads. They have 35 assistant coaches, so it's like we don't know who's in charge of what and who's doing whatever, and so it's like you throw all these things together, and then when he stands there with his hands in his pockets, it presents this image of leadership that makes someone like me a crazy person. It's not real because that's not how NBA coaching works.
Yeah.
Because it's like these guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. At least they should. To where it's like I overread something that doesn't necessarily matter, but it's just this is just kind of this was a stew of a game that was designed for the Mavericks to lose. And they still had a chance to win it. Okay.
Right.
That's what I kind of that's if I had a positive takeaway, they didn't get ran off the floor for 36 minutes. They played pretty good basketball for about 10 minutes. They played mediocre basketball for about 30 minutes, and then they got destroyed in 8 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it was the Wizards game. They rest on their laurels a lot. It's just what they do,
Sure.
and the Pacers were not going to let them. You just can't do that against Rick Carlisle, and
that's right.
Good team. So
yeah.
But I'll talk to you soon. I'll get off, get some other people a chance.
Shoot me an email. Talk soon, all right?
I will. Bye, Kirk.
All right. Last but not least is going to be my man, Micah. Micah, welcome to the stage, man. What's up?
What's going on, Kirk? Hey, first I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
The place where you got that Deshaun Stevenson shirt, did they have the final shirt that he made that says, "How's my dirt taste"?
No, it's one of these places where the guy basically, when you look at the shirts that he makes, and I'll go message me about it later and I'll go find it. The way he pulls out the pictures, they don't have the full logo. They don't have the NBA sign anywhere to where you can't officially tell that it's a real NBA shirt because it's not. Like, he doesn't have the rights to do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I've been looking for that shirt for so long and I can't find it anywhere.
Well, I'll see if I have the guy's link somewhere and I'll send it to you because it's amazing.
Yeah. But God, how many times are we going to have to talk about the Timmy conundrum?
I mean, and eventually they'll just, I think he'll shoot his way out of this. But then the question becomes does Kidd actually rely on him in a playoff game? And that's the part that I don't see as being real. Like, I have a lot of Kidd criticisms, but like, you are not, like, that's honestly playing Tim Hardaway 30 minutes in a playoff game with the options that Mavericks have. That's how you get fired. Like, and I don't see him being that stupid.
It's just like, I have this feeling that he wants Tim to be Jason Terry so bad, but in all honesty, he's more like the Cook version of Peja that we had.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that bad, but it's like he's so lost on defense. That's the part that's painful.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's just, it's, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to try Hardy, and I get it.
It's like Hardy's mistakes are somehow like are somehow more egregious than Tim's mistakes, and I'm not sure I agree with that.
No, they're not. They're not. I'm sorry. It's just like, if I'm looking at the overall play, it's just like, I'm saying, okay, I think Hardy is a more versatile scorer. I think he's a better ball handler. I think he's a better defender. I don't think, and it's just like, I had this conversation earlier. It's just like, when I was going back and forth with somebody about Tim, and the conversation of Christian Wood came up, and I was like, okay, do y'all understand why Christian Wood wasn't getting minutes? Because I do. I want to see if y'all do. And of course, I couldn't get right answers. Is Kidd being a jerk or whatever? And I said, all right, this is the reason he didn't get minutes.
That's right.
He wouldn't defend. He killed the flow of the offense. And I ended that off with, how does that description not fit Tim right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
He can't move the ball. He can't defend. He kills the flow of the offense. He's not a versatile scorer. It's just, I don't know. I mean, are we just looking at it are we just looking at a situation where we just got to survive till the off season and just money-ball Tim away from the Kidd?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know, man.
It's tough. It's tough. I seen some people that was, look, I want PJ to be better on offense, and I'll agree he had a tough offensive night or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just like, he's still doing his job. You know, Pascal averages 22 points a game. He had 12 tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about somebody's offense if you can impact the game in other ways. It's just like, but you got this guy that we're forced to play no matter what the situation is, and I don't know. Hopefully that changes when Dante comes back. Because I'm looking at it, and if I'll say this one thing, the one optimistic thing I can have about Kid is he's always going to play the better defender over the offensive player.
That's right.
It's just
that's his nature.
That's his MO. Like, he is going to play the guy that averages 10 and defends over the guy that averages 18 and doesn't. That's just his MO.
Well, my man, thanks for hanging out with us once again.
Oh, anytime, Kirk.
All right, see you next game. Tuesday, early game.
Tuesday.
Early games.
Nice. When's the next game?
Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah. No, I'm talking
like
about time.
6
o'clock? Nice.
There's a whole string of games until like mid-March that all start at great times for me personally.
Fantastic.
That's right.
Fantastic. 5 o'clock comes early.
That's exactly right. All right, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Have a good one, Kirk.
You too, buddy. All right, I'm going to head out for the night. Thanks so much. This has been 100 minutes of Mavs talk with me. Those of you who are watching on the live stream, very much appreciate you. Those who are listening on on audio applications, please consider joining us. We have fun in this one. This has been Kirk Henderson. I'm editor-in-chief over at Mavs Moneyball, and this has been Pod Mavericks Group Therapy. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Bye, guys.